Thank you. Please be seated. Good afternoon. My name is Greg Wiley, proud principal of EDCSD. Distinguished guests, cherished families, esteemed faculty, and most importantly, the extraordinary graduates of the class of 2026, welcome. Today we gather not just to recognize years of dedication and perseverance, but to celebrate a journey unlike any other. As students of an online school, these graduates have demonstrated remarkable independence, discipline, and resilience. They've learned not only how to succeed academically, but how to stay motivated, connected, and committed, even when the path required them to walk it on their own. Though they may not have shared the same hallways, they built community across screens, supported one another from a distance, and proved that meaningful connections are not defined by physical space, but by a shared purpose. They have faced challenges and adapted. They have embraced flexibility and grown stronger because of it. And along the way, they have discovered their voices, their strengths, and their potential. Now, as they stand at the threshold of what comes next, we recognize this moment not simply as an ending, but as a powerful beginning, one shaped by determination and filled with possibility. So today, let us celebrate their achievements with pride, reflect with gratitude, and look ahead with confidence and excitement. Welcome to the commencement ceremony of the class of 2026 of EDCSD Online. At this time, I would like to introduce our distinguished stage guests, Deputy Superintendent Danelle Hyatt, Executive Directors of Schools Nikki Ballou, Board of Education member Brad Geiger, Dean of Students at EDCSD Zoe Tessier, and our Assistant Principal at EDCSD Laura Sharp. Standing here in the forefront are truly exceptional team of educators, defined by their unwavering dedication, deep compassion, and unmatched adaptability. In every elementary and secondary classroom, they embody excellence, rising daily to the challenge of nurturing each student with purpose and care. Guided by our shared why to help every learner discover their unique identity and foster lifelong growth. These educators go above and beyond to ensure that every student thrives. What fills me with the greatest pride is their steadfast commitment to rekindling self-belief in our students. Without their relentless support, many would not be standing as confidently as they do today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in rising to honor the extraordinary EDCSD staff and give them a round of applause, please. All right, thank you. On behalf of the staff and the graduating class of 2026, I would also like to thank the many educators who have come alongside these students over the years. For many students, it takes a village to get them where they are right now. I am sure that you have noticed we do have a beautiful array of colors represented in our regalia that our graduates are wearing. Many of our students are wearing their school colors of their neighborhood high schools, a testament to the diversity of our school and the very journey many of our students have taken to get here. Please join me in thanking those educators for their help for our students along the way. To the parents and families of these remarkable young adults, thank you for sharing your children with us. Their accomplishments are a reflection of you, and that reflection is extraordinary. We appreciate your partnership to ensure the success of your student. Please join me in honoring the parents and families of these young adults. I would like to invite two students up to lead our Pledge of Allegiance, Justin Fiskus and Layla Montefort.
Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
At this time, I would like to invite our student Amelia Martin to the stage, who will be doing a poem for us. Battling for New Beginnings.
Today, I am breaking a promise to a little girl who whispers she wouldn't make it to this stage. Believe me, there were days the world felt too much, too sharp, too loud. And days where our losses dug its fingers into our ribcage, leaving marks no one could see. And it grieves me not to see the person here today who started this journey with me. But although he is not here, I am not alone. Today, I will walk this stage, I will shake these hands, I will see the faces that made this once a long-lost dream. A dream turning into a reality. One that proves to this little girl, in a whisper of quietness, in a new dawn, survival is a form of victory. No matter what brought you here, we're here for a reason. For that glimmer of hope, for a breath of tomorrow. For a soft reminder in the wind that even shattered things can still shine. That somewhere along the way we learn to grow, not in clean, perfect lines, but in uneven ways. Change isn't something that waits for our agreement, or knocks softly. It barges in. Change is a word that's both daunting, but also just as rewarding. One that makes us shift in our seats, one that makes us brace for the storm ahead. And now, it's here. As we sit in neat rows with tilted caps and flowy gowns, while blinking back the weight of everything ending and everything beginning. Graduation means change. It means walking away from the familiar faces and the ones we trusted, which is scary. However, our fear today is proof that this chapter mattered, that we cared, and that every version of ourselves is worthy of this moment, even the versions we outgrew. We are on the edge of a new blank page, and we hold the pen. Do not be afraid of what comes next, because change will come again, and so will self-doubt. That's one of life's greatest challenges, battling against our own limitations. So do not fear the magnitude of your hopes and dreams. Do not be afraid of the openness of the earth. Let yourself scatter in the wind. Do not be afraid of where those pieces land. Just as it has in this journey, the earth will guide you and shape you in ways you never thought possible.
Thank you so much, Amelia. That was beautiful. Can we give her one more round of applause, please? All right, good afternoon, families, friends, staff, honored guests, and most importantly, the graduating class of 2026 of EDCSD Online. Today is a celebration of achievement, a celebration of perseverance, a celebration of growth, and a celebration of the many different journeys that brought each of you to this moment. One of the things that I love most about EDCSD is that no two student stories are exactly alike. Some of you came here looking for flexibility. Some came to pursue athletics, careers, artistic passions, or opportunities outside the traditional school day. Some came searching for a fresh start. Some face challenges that others may never fully see or understand. And some of you simply discovered that learning differently did not mean learning less. But no matter the reason, all of your paths led here to this moment together. And I think there is something incredibly meaningful about that. Because in many ways, this graduating class represents what education is supposed to be about. Not a single road that everyone is forced to travel at the same pace, but a journey that helps each person discover who they are, how they learn, and what they are capable of becoming. There's a line from Dr. Seuss's Oh, the Places You'll Go. It says, "You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way." And what I appreciate most about that message is that it never promises the road will be easy. It never says the journey will be straight, predictable, or comfortable. In fact, the book talks quite a bit about uncertainty, waiting places, detours, and difficult climbs. That feels fitting for this graduating class, because many of you know what it means to take an unconventional road, You know what it means to keep going when plans changed. You know what it means to adapt when life becomes difficult. You know what it means to move forward even when the path ahead was unclear. And in a world that often tries to convince students there is only one right path, you prove something different. You prove that success is not defined by sitting in a certain desk, walking a certain hallway, or following someone else's timeline. Success is about growth, it is about resilience, it is about courage. It is about continuing forward even when the path changes beneath you. And perhaps most important, it is about learning who you are. There's another lyric that comes to mind from the song The Climb. There's always going to be another mountain. I'm always going to want to make it move. As much as today is about a celebration, it is about recognizing the strength you built during your climb. Because the climb changes people. Online learning requires independence. It requires discipline. It requires self-motivation when nobody is standing over your shoulder telling you what to do next. It requires learning how to manage your time, how to advocate for yourself, recover from setbacks, and keep moving forward. The truth is, many of you develop skills that adults are still trying to master. Adaptability, self-discipline, communication, problem solving, and resilience. Those qualities will matter long after today. Long after the caps and gowns are packed away, long after the pictures are posted, long after this ceremony ends. Those are the skills that will carry you through college, careers, relationships, challenges, and even opportunities you cannot even imagine yet. And here is what I hope you remember moving forward. Do not compare your timeline to someone else's. Some of you already know exactly where you're headed. Some of you are still figuring it out, and some of you may change directions multiple times over the next few years. That is okay. That is life. Some of the most successful, fulfilled, and impactful people in the world took winding roads to get where they were meant to be. The people who make the greatest impact are rarely the ones who traveled the smoothest road. They are often the ones who learned how to adapt, how to recover, and how to keep moving forward when things did not go according to plan. And this class knows how to do that. Class of 2026, your journey may have looked different, but your accomplishment today is every bit as meaningful, every bit as significant, and every bit as worthy of a celebration. You made it. You reached the destination that at times may have felt far away. And while today marks the end of one chapter, it is also the beginning of countless new roads waiting ahead for you. Some of those roads will be exciting, some will be uncertain, and some may challenge you in ways you do not expect. But if your journey to this stage has proven anything, it is this: you are capable of more than you realize. So be bold enough to take the road that fits your life, not the one others expect you to take. Be willing to try, be willing to fail, be willing to grow, and be willing to change direction when necessary. And most importantly, keep moving forward. Keep climbing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep becoming who you were meant to be. And wherever your path leads next, know that you will always have a place here at EDCSD. Congratulations, class of 2026. We are incredibly proud of you. Take me a minute to get back to where I was. All right, at this time, I would like to invite Danelle Hyatt to join me at the podium. Ms. Hyatt, I attest and confirm that the students seated on this stage have successfully completed the requirements set forth by the Douglas County School District Board of Education and are deserving of the recognition in the form of a high school diploma.
Thank you, Principal Wiley. On behalf of the Douglas County School District, it is my sincere honor to accept the graduating class of EDCSD Online for 2026. Congratulations, graduates.
All right, I am honored to extend a warm invitation to Ms. Janda Bleak and Mr. Aaron Keller to join us at the podium. Navigating the world of online schooling presents unique challenges, and it takes exceptional individuals like our counselors to ensure our seniors thrive. And through their unwavering dedication, Mrs. Bleak and Mr. Keller and our counseling team have gone above and beyond, providing constant support through various channels, be it instant messages, emails, texts. They've even gone the extra mile assisting with those last-minute quizzes to ensure that all of our seniors are here today. Their efforts haven't just been professional, they've built meaningful connections and friendships with our students, inspiring them to pursue their dreams relentlessly. And to our counselors, we extend our heartfelt gratitude.
Angeline Amaro. Angie plans to go into baking and pastry at Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts at the Boulder campus. She attended EDCSD due to convenience. Angie was previously in a bad headspace attending school in person and had done so well since entering EDCSD in 7th grade. Angie wants to thank all the teachers and a few other people that have helped her throughout these years. She wants to thank her Aunt Debbie for always encouraging her to do better and being patient and understanding when she was struggling. Angie would also like to thank her amazing older sister for always being there, constantly supporting her, growing up with her, and never giving up on her no matter what happened. Another big thanks to her best friend Sam for dealing with all these years, and her online best friends Wolf and Loretta for always being by her and helping her succeed, even through every challenging moment. Megan Balson. Megan is enrolled at Rocky Mountain School of Animal Acupressure and Massage and is planning on pursuing a career in the equine industry as a sports horse trainer and massage therapist. Chronic illness led her to EDCSD at the beginning of her sophomore year, and it has allowed her to put her health first and pursue her passions during the day. She would like to thank her counselor and all of her teachers for being so supportive, her parents for being endlessly encouraging, her boyfriend for always making her smile, and all the amazing horses who carried her through it all. Samson Beaton. After graduation, Samson plans to get a job so he can buy more Burger King. He attended EDCSD to become more independent in his work and to finally get some solitude. It helped him in almost every way you could imagine, from making schoolwork a breeze to making learning fun again. He thanks his family for the support and the hours of music he listened to while completing assignments. Luke Bennick. Luke's plans after he graduates are complicated, but since when is life not complicated? He wants to be so many things, but mainly a mechanic just so he can be a little kid again and build cars he's always dreamt of. That involves a lot of money, so hopefully one day he can own a '67 Impala and call it a day. Luke decided to attend EDCSD to help himself graduate earlier, get his mental life in check, and get started on working and building himself a future. He would like to thank the greatest father he could ask for, his amazing girlfriend, Haley, and the second family he thought he'd never have. They've all helped Luke through probably the hardest time in his life, and yet they are still pushing to help him be the man he wants to be every day. Thank you, guys. Bella Beliich. Bella plans to go to Arapahoe Community College for 2 years and go to Colorado State University afterwards to become a wildlife vet. Bella has always loved animals and is so happy she can choose a job that will let her help them. While in college, she hopes to volunteer with Animals Abroad to gain experience and to travel. She would like to thank her mom, dad, sister, and dog Sophie for supporting her through everything. Attending EDCSD started as a simple decision for her mental health and soon became the best decision for her. It has allowed her to focus on herself, find a sense of purpose, and discover many hobbies. Dallas Bonset. Dallas plans to attend the Paul Mitchell School, Denver, beginning in September 2026. She is passionate about building a future in the beauty industry and hopes to one day open her own business and become a successful entrepreneur. Dallas chose to attend EDCSD because it offered the flexibility she needed to manage her chronic illness while continuing her education. The supportive and adaptable environment allowed her to work at her own pace, prioritize her health, and stay on track academically. Through this experience, she has grown stronger, more independent, and more determined to achieve her goals. She would like to thank her teachers for their constant support, encouragement, and understanding throughout her journey. Their dedication made a meaningful impact on her success. Dallas is especially grateful to her mom for always believing in her, standing by her side, and inspiring her to keep pushing forward. She also wants to thank her dad and brother for their love and support. Finally, she appreciates her animals who have provided comfort and emotional support during this challenging time. Dallas is proud of how far she has come and is excited to take the next steps towards her future. Boston Breezoff. Boston transferred from Chaparral to EDCSD as a junior for the flexibility and was able to focus on his job at In-N-Out. His long-term goals included going to UTI in Arizona for motorcycle mechanics and eating a Snarf sandwich after the ceremony. He would like to thank his counselor for keeping him on track and always being helpful. He would also like to thank his mother for everything. She deserves a diploma as well. His sister for always motivating him and his comic relief, and his dad for giving him opportunities to grow and follow his goals. He would finally like to thank his grandparents and birth family for their love and support. Thank you, Wells, Smith, and Jude, for being the best brothers. Oliver Burkhart. Oliver plans to enroll in a trade program to start his career as an electrician, where he can visit new states and see the country. He had a bad experience at his previous school and was looking for other options where he could be excited about attending school. He has had wonderful teachers at EDCSD, interacted with kind and inclusive students, and has learned to be independent. For the first time since elementary, he actually enjoyed language arts and is grateful for his teacher's support. Some of his favorite moments were meeting with teachers to talk about music and dogs. Oliver would like to thank his parents, his sister Delaney, Evie, Clover, and Wes for their support. Gabriella Colley. Gabriella plans to attend Arapahoe Community College, where she will pursue a degree in education. She enrolled in EDCSD as a senior, which provided her with a more flexible schedule. This allowed her to spend meaningful time with her family while also exploring career-focused opportunities with their support. Although she changed schools, she remains deeply grateful for every valuable experience that led her to this point. Gabriella would like to thank her family for always believing in her and showing her what it means to love unconditionally. She is grateful to her teachers for their encouragement and support throughout the journey. Molly Ekman. Molly plans to attend Aveda Institute to pursue a career as an esthetician. She attended EDCSD so she could focus better and have more time available. She would like to thank all the staff at EDCSD for helping when needed, as well as her parents for pushing her to do her best. Justin Fiskus. Justin is graduating today after successfully completing his high school education through EDCSD's online program. He opted for this approach because the flexibility of online learning enabled him to work at his own pace, fostering the discipline and dedication crucial to his success. After receiving his diploma, Justin plans to join the United States Air Force, where he intends to serve his country and continue to grow as an individual. He would like to thank his counselor and teachers for their guidance and support, as well as his family for their constant encouragement and belief in him throughout this journey. Their dedication helped him reach this milestone and prepare for a bright future. Angelina Geiger. Upon graduating from high school, the actor and writer Gigi Geiger will take a long break because she needs it. She will retire to Arizona with a good friend to expand her knowledge of philosophy, develop screenplays, and submit auditions until the time comes to leave for Los Angeles, California, where she will pursue her lifelong dream of acting in film. Gigi turned to EDCSD Online to seek a more thorough education, given that she was unable to attend in-person classes regularly due to physical ailments. This gave her the freedom to learn at her own pace, something that a strict school curriculum makes difficult for those with minds like hers. She expresses her undying gratitude to the school staff and her parents for their perpetual flexibility and guidance during harrowing periods. To her parents, their conditionless love and advocacy for her success meant more than she could verbalize. To her friends, her appreciation is without bounds, giving her their time despite busy schedules and for being ever considerate and tolerant. She thanks everyone for their patience, generous affection, and steadfast will to stay with her, allowing her to glow in a way she couldn't on her own. Thank you. Kaylin Kozlov. Kaylin plans to go to ACC before transferring to Colorado Mesa University to pursue forensics. She plans to get her master's degree in forensics chemistry to become a forensic analyst technician. She hopes that she can achieve an internship at the local police station to see true crime scenes firsthand. Kaylin attended EDCSD due to the pandemic. She realized that online classes made it easier for her to understand the material faster and therefore wanted to continue this method of learning. She transferred to EDCSD and gained newfound confidence, support, and friends. Kaylin would like to thank everyone who helped her on her journey. She would also like to thank all of her teachers, friends, and family members for supporting her and lifting her up in hard times. She would like to give special thanks to the school psychologist and the economics teacher who helped her go through the grieving process after her grandmother passed. She appreciates them for noticing when she was at her lowest point without her saying anything and being there for her when she needed it. Kaylin would also like to give her special thanks to her counselor for guiding her through the college process and helping her understand more about herself to prepare for this new chapter in her life. Elias Lauren. Eli is currently enrolled in ACC Online. He plans to play hockey in Finland. EDCSD allowed him to have a flexible schedule and work away from home. Eli would like to thank his parents for their continuous support and his teachers for always inspiring him.
Cole Marlatt. Cole plans on attending Arapahoe Community College in the fall. He is looking forward to spending the next few years discovering how he can combine his passion for tech with a career that makes an impact and a lot of money. Cole decided to attend EDCSD because he was tired of the drama at his previous school and wanted a flexible schedule. He's very grateful for the opportunity to be more focused on his learning. He would like to thank his teachers and his counselor who took time to guide him. Cole would also like to thank his mom for all the time and encouragement she put into his education over the years. She always supported him in his learning and put a lot of her own time into making sure he would succeed. He would like to thank his dad for introducing him to new opportunities throughout his life, from skiing to trips to Japan and ziplining. His life is richer because of him. Cole is thankful to his family and friends here today for always being a support to him and helping him get to this point. Amelia Martin. Amelia plans to attend Arapahoe Community College and hopes to build a career centered around understanding people and helping children grow and thrive. Amelia chose EDCSD because it gave her a more supportive and flexible environment where she could focus on both her education and mental health. Through EDCSD, she's been able to work at her own pace while continuing to stay motivated and reach her goals. Amelia would like to thank her junior year English teacher for being a role model in her life, always brightening her day and helping her see her worth. She is deeply grateful to her Spanish teacher for the kindness, love, and encouragement she showed her. She would also like to thank her mom and dad for their unconditional love, patience, and unwavering faith in her. Her mom in particular has been a constant source of strength and support. She is especially grateful for Will, who has always supported her. Amelia also wants to honor and remember those she has lost along the way, whose love and presence continue to stay with her. Lastly, she would like to thank the teachers and friends who have supported her. Jake McClintock. Jake chose EDCSD for the flexibility it offered, allowing him to take full control of his schedule. He credits his teachers, counselor, and parents for supporting that independence. It started with his biology teacher encouraging him to try honors biology, and later including trying college history and math classes as well. He's also actually a world-class ninja. I need to throw that out there. He's highly ranked. Jake has completed, through EDCSD, Jake has competed nationally in 2 different sports while also completing college-level EMT coursework and clinical requirements through the Legacy campus. He has further expanded his studies, taking college architecture classes and earning multiple industry certifications in drafting and modeling software. Isabella McConnell. After graduation, Isabella plans to attend Grand Canyon University and major in psychology. She wants to go on to earn her PhD so that she can advocate for and support the underserved mental health community, mental health community. Isabella began classes at EDCSD during her senior year because of the freedom it allowed. Curating her own schedule through this program put her in a healthy space academically, mentally, and socially. She also recognizes that much of this success comes from the people who support her. Isabella would like to thank her mom for her unwavering compassion and understanding, her best friend for becoming her happy place during difficult times, her grandma for the well-timed pep talks, and the rest of her family and friends for always putting their faith in her. Charles McIntosh. Charlie is currently enrolled in Lincoln Tech, planning to pursue his dreams as an HVAC technician and buy a G37. He attended EDCSD because at his previous school he was having problems with grades and wanted to work more. Making this change helped him with both things. Charlie thanks his counselor for helping him make that step and keeping him pointed in the right direction. Chance McKinley. Chance initially joined the school because he was going into rehab, and it allowed him to focus on his recovery and get school done at his pace. Now he has been 3 years sober. Chance wants to thank his mom and dad and all of his friends. Layla Rose Monteforte. After graduating, Layla will be joining the military so she can travel and see the world. She decided to attend EDCSD because in-person school can be distracting and stressful. EDCSD helped her be successful because she couldn't get distracted by friends and social anxiety. She would like to thank her mom and dad for helping her get through school. She is thankful for how supportive her family is and is thankful for all the friends she made along the way. Carl Moore. Carl plans to attend Colorado State University with a major in communications. He has attended EDCSD for 5 years and has used it to allow him to be more active in Mountain Vista and Thunder Ridge High School's band programs. Carl would like to thank everyone who has helped him along the way to where he is now. Aubrey Mulhern. Aubrey is currently enrolled as a nursing major through the University of Kansas. Aubrey would like to thank her family and Sav for all the support, patience, and inspiration they have put into her education over the years. Aubrey especially wouldn't have been able to do it without her mom and dad. Zoe Mumford. From early on, Zoe knew she needed something different, an environment where she could grow, think for herself, and move at her own pace. Choosing EDCSD became that place. It gave her space to focus and build independence. After graduation, Zoe plans to move to Alabama with her sister and start building something of her own and take steps toward creating a future she's proud of. Zoe wouldn't be here without the people who supported her. She wants to thank her mom and dad for always pushing her forward, even when she wanted to stop, and for loving her through everything. To her sister Taylor, who has been her constant, her safe place, her strength, and the person who carried her through some of the hardest moments in her life. Thanks also to her granny and grandpa for loving her unconditionally and being among the biggest supporters in her life. And to Isabel, her best friend, who never left her side, even when things got messy, proving what it really means to be present for someone. Vaughn Payne. Vaughn plans to attend community college after graduation and pursue a career in cybersecurity. He chose EDCSD for its flexible learning environment, which allowed him to take control of his education while balancing work and other responsibilities. During high school, Vaughn developed stronger self-discipline and independence, preparing him for his future goals. He would like to thank his family for their support and encouragement, as well as his friends for keeping him motivated. He is also grateful for the EDCSD staff for guiding him along the way. Matt Peterson. Matt plans to continue working at today's nursery after graduation, working toward his future goals. He chose to attend EDCSD because it gave him the opportunity to take a different path and find a better balance among schoolwork and life. The experience helped him become more independent and allowed him to succeed in an environment that worked well. Matthew would also like to thank the staff at EDCSD for their guidance and support. He would also like to thank his dad and mom for always supporting him and encouraging him to keep pushing forward through every challenge along the way. Sophia Poland. So after graduation, Sophia plans to attend CU Boulder to pursue a degree in psychology, to become a clinical psychologist or a physician assistant. During her time in college, Sophia hopes to study abroad in Paris to experience new cultures. She also intends to continue volunteer work in environmental conservation. Sophia came to EDCSD as she navigated an ongoing physical condition. From the very beginning, she was welcomed with kindness and encouragement and found that in the staff a reliable and compassionate support system. The unwavering dedication of her counselor and teachers left a lasting impression. Sophia would also like to thank those who never gave up on her, especially during her most difficult moments. Her parents, Andy and Lily, stood beside her through the most demanding chapters of her life, showing up with a smile, ready to take on the next obstacle simply because it would help her. They have continuously offered Sophia new perspectives, meaningful experiences, and the gift of laughter. She owes so much of her success to their endless support. Kylie Root. Kylie will be attending the University of Denver in the fall, studying criminology with intent to study abroad and explore the world. She would like to thank her mom, dad, brother, and grandma for all the support throughout her high school career, whether it be jokes in times of need or assistance with homework. They've been there every step of the way. She'd also like to thank her friends Lily, Kaylin, and Nick for all the fun times and encouragement shared. Lastly, a special thanks to her teachers for pushing her to be the best she can be. They have made a true impact on her willingness to show up each day and do her best. Kylie would not be the person she is if not for these wonderful people. Olivia Ryan. Olivia plans to attend Metro State University in Denver, Colorado, and major in nursing. After college, she plans to work in pediatric oncology. Olivia attended EDCSD in order to focus on her last year of sports, along with getting a head start on her career, including getting her CNA license. EDCSD helped Olivia be successful and enabled her to discover herself. Olivia would love to thank her parents for being there during the rough patches and always giving her a helping hand. She would also love to thank her bonus mom and dad for the support they have provided. Lastly, she would love to thank her amazing friends who have stuck by her side and helped her become who she is today. Naomi Sanchez. Naomi attended EDCSD for her senior year. One of Naomi's passions is working with dogs, and EDCSD gave her the opportunity to work a job where she was able to do just that while finishing up high school at the same time. Naomi is also passionate about basketball, and after graduation, she will be able to help to coach a club team and a high school team. She plans to continue working with dogs, and she will also pursue earning a personal trainer certificate. Naomi would like to thank her family and her basketball team for making her senior year so memorable and special. Savannah Sanchez. Savannah will be attending the University of Kansas to study interior architecture and design, with plans to become an interior designer. She would like to thank her parents, grandparents, and her best friend, Aubrey, for supporting her through the challenges of the past 4 years and always encouraging her to keep going. Ethan Schulman. Ethan attended EDCSD to be able to work at home, which was an amazing privilege. This allowed him to focus more on his job as he was able to sufficiently self-pace his learning. He has become more successful by improving his time management skills, and he was able to juggle schoolwork, life activities, and his part-time job. He would like to thank all of the staff members, his family, and his friends who guided him along the way. Molly Scholand. Molly plans to attend Colorado Mesa University to pursue a degree in criminal justice. She hopes to find a career in criminal interrogation after graduation. Molly attended EDCSD to have more time for work and volleyball. The looser schedule at EDCSD gave her more flexibility and autonomy. Molly would like to thank her friends and family for supporting her through the good and bad times throughout her high school experience. Their love and laughter is what got her through the dark points and helped her succeed. McKinley Smith. McKinley found EDCSD in search of a place of warm welcomes and a more efficient way to learn. EDCSD aided McKinley in finding her way through high school with friendly faces who were eager and excited to learn. McKinley would like to thank her academic support team for putting in the effort to learn and care about her, while also supporting her through high school and accommodating her needs. McKinley is looking to pursue her dreams in interior design, while also getting her apprenticeship as a tattoo artist. McKinley also would like to acknowledge her friends and family for supporting her through her shortcomings and never failing to show her the love she deserves. Elena Summer. Elena Laney Summer graduates from EDCSD online after previously attending Regis Jesuit High School. This fall, she has been accepted to St. Louis University, where she plans to pursue studies in social justice and politics. Before beginning college, Laney plans to take a gap year to continue growing, learning, and supporting the people around her. Laney is known for the care she shows others through her Full Circle community and her dedication to supporting fellow teenagers. Her family is incredibly proud of the persistence, strength, honesty, humor, intelligence, and joy she brings into every space she enters. They look forward to seeing the positive impact she will continue to make in the lives of others. Caitlin Still. Caitlin plans to attend Colorado State University as a zoology major on a pre-veterinary track and hopes to one day work with wildlife. She has always loved animals and is excited to learn about animal care, conservation, and veterinary medicine. Caitlin decided to attend EDCSD because she wanted a more flexible and independent learning environment that gave her time for her aerial gymnastics. Attending EDCSD helped her become more independent, improve her time management skills, and learn how to take initiative in her education. The program also gave her opportunities to focus on experiences outside of school. Caitlin would like to thank her parents for always supporting and encouraging her through every challenge and accomplishment. She would like to thank her friends for being there to make her laugh and make her high school memories that she will never forget. Finally, she is grateful to the staff members and teachers at EDCSD for their guidance, encouragement, and understanding. Elena Taylor. Attending EDCSD provided Elena with an amazing opportunity to focus more on her job while self-pacing her learning. She became more successful by improving her time management skills and was able to balance schoolwork, life activities, and her full-time job. She would like to thank all the staff members, her family, and her friends who guided her along the way. Her favorite school memories were all of the field trips she took as a kid. Lily Terry. Lily plans to attend CU Boulder in the fall. She attended EDCSD to have more flexibility and freedom and got to take botanical illustration art classes at the Denver Botanic Gardens alongside her traditional schooling. She appreciates the opportunities it has given her outside of school, but most of all, she is grateful for the close community she found at Blended Learning. She would like to thank her teachers for all of their wisdom and support over the years. She would like to thank her family for the opportunities she has been given and for the quality time she has been able to spend with them. She would like to thank her friends for their continuous encouragement and companionship in and out of school. She is incredibly grateful for the support she has received and is looking forward to the next chapter of life. Kylie Tupper. Kylie is currently enrolled as a first-year student in the cosmetology program at Bellissimo Blue Salon and Academy at Highlands Ranch High School. After high school graduation, she plans to complete the program through Arapahoe Community College, earning her state license in cosmetology. She then has the option to pursue an Associate of Applied Science degree in cosmetology management. Kylie hopes to work in a salon, doing what she enjoys, helping people feel comfortable and confident in their appearance. Attending EDCSD has given Kylie the flexibility to successfully manage her high school classes, attend the cosmetology program, volunteer at local community events, and work part-time. Her hard work and dedication is sure to make her post-high school dreams come true. Bernadetta Vaitkute. Bernadetta is grateful to be graduating from EDCSD in 2026. She chose to attend EDCSD because it gave her a supportive and flexible environment where she could continue working toward her goals and personal growth. The school helped her stay focused, build confidence, and successfully complete her education. After graduation, Bernadetta plans to continue exploring career opportunities and building her future step by step. She is proud of how far she has come and excited for her next chapter. Bernadetta would like to thank her family, teachers, and school staff for their encouragement, patience, and support. She especially appreciates everyone who motivated her to keep going during the difficult moments. She is thankful for the friendships, experiences, and lessons she gained at EDCSD and will always remember this important milestone. Esther Walker. Esther plans to attend ACC and study interior design, hoping that after college she can move out to Colorado Springs and work for an interior design company and maybe one day create her own business. Esther decided to join EDCSD because when she was attending her old school, they had little to no company from the other students, creating an isolating and bad headspace for herself. Once she joined EDCSD, she was able to take time for herself and get out of her bad environment. Esther would like to thank her parents for being there and giving her the opportunity to join EDCSD. She would also like to thank her boyfriend, Nate, for always giving her his time when she got lonely or felt isolated. And she would like to thank everyone else who has helped her get through this last semester of her senior year. Elise Young. Elise will be attending ACC in the fall. She plans on pursuing her passion for fashion, marketing, and travel. EDCSD has really helped her work and pursue other interests while doing school. She would like to thank her family for all of their support throughout high school. She wants to thank her older sister for being her biggest supporter and her best friend.
At this time, I would like to invite up Lily Terry, our student speaker.
Today is more than just a celebration. Graduation marks the start of a new chapter that is both intimidating and exciting. We are preparing to step into the unknown, and as with any significant change, we are bound to encounter challenges on our new paths. Change is daunting. I have found that the best way to face adversity in my own life is by intentionally doing difficult things. I started hiking 14ers about a year ago for this reason. When I stepped past the tree line of my first, Belford, I found myself in a field of wildflowers that seemed out of place at such an elevation. Besides being unexpectedly beautiful, I found that the meadow was also silent, despite the well wishes of strangers and the chirps of pikas. The kind of silence I encountered was far more profound than that which occurs from a lack of noise. There were no distractions. I suddenly became very aware of myself and my own thoughts. As I have grown more captivated by the world of mountains and mountaineering, I encountered a quote I want to share with you today that embodies the realization I came to on Belford and represents graduation. Sir Edmund Hillary, one of the first men to summit Mount Everest, said, "It is not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves." The greatest challenges in life do not come from the world around us. They come from within. As humans, we're prone to letting our doubts, fears, and habits hold us back. Overcoming our limits starts with putting intentional effort into analyzing how we think, act, and hold ourselves back. Too often, I see people disregard this and coast through life without a real understanding of themselves. But when you act deliberately, with intention, you begin to see a difference in both how the world responds to you and in how you see yourself. And yet, living deliberately is not easy. Our world is a mess of noise and chaos. In a digital storm of information, notifications, and endless scrolling, it's easy to forget about the world in front of us. You may have even heard the term the attention economy, the idea that the human attention is a scarce and valuable commodity. It's often used in reference to advertising, but it applies more broadly to where you direct your focus in daily life. Every choice you make is a purchase bought with your time and energy. Each purchase has a real impact on your life. One way we give up the precious resource of attention and grow careless is through technology. Our generation is growing increasingly dependent on AI and our phones. We are outsourcing our thinking, and in doing so, we are dulling our creative instincts, our resilience, and our ability to problem solve independently. Technology is designed to capture your time, energy, and attention without you noticing. Our phones, our apps, our instant logins, they streamline everything so efficiently that we act before we think. We fail to truly reflect on and question our actions and impulses. Over-reliance isn't the only threat we face with technology usage, though. We're tricking our brains. Positive content creates dopamine that makes our brains think that we're being productive, overcoming a challenge, or being creative. Our minds mirror what we see and hear, even when our actions don't catch up. Eventually, we're bound to reach a point of stagnation. The digital landscape can never compare to the real world. The content keeps coming and keeps tricking our brains, draining our energy and mental capacity. I found myself deeply questioning how much I was consuming at a very specific point in my life. Life is overwhelming as is, but the constant storm of information was making it difficult to focus. All the while, I was losing touch with myself, my values, and my goals. I reached a tipping point that has stuck with me to this very day. I heard somebody say that we will be the first generation to die with more memories of other people's lives than of our own. So what's the antidote? Silence. Silence is the deliberate second you take to pause before you act. It's the small moments you take in between conversations and events that you dedicate to understanding yourself. Silence is the key to living an intentional life. Pause before you act. Take a second. Pausing will help you navigate through our increasingly complicated physical world as well as your mental world. There comes a point when you need to make a choice. As the Matrix franchise says, you take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Life does not come with a test run. Our actions matter right here, right now. You need to choose what kind of life you want to live. There's a saying, you're the sum of the closest people around you. You're the sum of what you spend the most time consuming. Social media can feel like a source of connection and inspiration, but more often than not, it's a shallow imitation of the real world. Fitting in comes at a cost. You risk losing sight of yourself, of the person you're capable of becoming. The people you choose to interact with, the content you expose yourself to, the experiences you prioritize, shape your values, ethics, and goals. Choose them carefully. Understanding yourself and navigating the world is difficult and intimidating, but it's also meant to be exciting. Life is a blank canvas, and you are the artist. This unique gift of expression and exploration does come with a responsibility. Just as what you consume shapes you, what you create, speak, and share has a tremendous impact. Your presence matters. The way you show up reflects your values. Clothing, speech, and actions are powerful. In a world where people leave the house dressed in sweatpants and pajamas, I want to encourage you to hold yourself to a higher standard. You should take yourself seriously. The way you show up matters. In a world that chooses convenience, take intentional choices that give you long-term benefit rather than short-term reward. Over time, how the online landscape, our biggest influence, looks at clothing, actions, and language has changed. We have normalized dressing casually, acting casually, and also using vulgarity and slang. Swearing helps us emotionally regulate, but it's also informal. There's a time and a place for it, and we have a tendency to use curses as filler words or in ways that carry no significant weight. At a deeper level, it seems like my generation has lost touch with understanding the appropriate time or place to say or do certain things. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stay silent or say very little. Our actions speak for themselves, and in a world that largely acts on impulse, restraint is a form of rebellion. Speak carefully. Show up intentionally, because your actions, your values, and your choices are not invisible. They echo into the world. You are about to embark on the most important and incredible project you will ever be given in your life, the creation and cultivation of yourself. The final frontier is not space or the depths of our oceans. It's our own minds. Just know that every choice you make, no matter how small, is a reflection of who you are and what you value. Each intentional act builds the foundation for the person you're becoming. And when you understand and shape yourself in this way, the mountains before you no longer feel insurmountable. An unshakable foundation is what keeps structures standing. We will encounter challenges, but just know that true success is not measured by the mountains you climb, but by the person you become while climbing them.
Thank you so much, Lily. There's some real wise words and astute observations in that. All right, congratulations to all of our graduates. As we bid farewell to the class of 2026, let us remember that true greatness lies not in the destination, but in the journey. Each of you has embarked on a remarkable odyssey of self-discovery, growth, and transformation. As you venture forth into the world, may you continue to embrace the unknown with courage, curiosity, and an unwavering belief in your own potential. Congratulations, graduates, and may your future be filled with joy, success, and fulfillment. Now, Now we have just one final tradition before we formally bring this graduation ceremony to a close. At EDCSD, it is our tradition for the senior with the highest GPA to lead the graduating class in the turning of the tassels. This year, we are proud to welcome 2026 graduate Jake McClintock to the podium for this special honor. Parents and families, get your cameras ready for the turning of the tassels.
Today marks the end of one journey and the exciting beginning of another. We've worked hard, grown stronger, and made memories that will last a lifetime. And now, as we take our final step as high school students, it's time to make it official. Tassels begin on the right, and you will turn them to the left side. Graduating class of 2026, please turn your tassels.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the class of 2026. All right, before we leave, we would like to take a moment to look back on the past year, letting the seniors reflect on moments they captured, memories, laughter, milestones. We're going to play a really short slideshow. I'm also going to read something that was handed to me. Please, no confetti. It costs the school money.
Drink you spilled all over me. Lovers spit left on repeat. My mom and dad let me stay home. It drives you crazy getting old. We can talk it so good, we can make it so divine. We can talk it good, how you wish it would be all the time. The drink you spill all over me, lovers spit left on repeat. Mom and dad let me stay home, it drives you crazy getting home. The drink you spill all over me, lovers spit left on repeat. Mom and dad let me stay home, it drives you crazy getting home.
All right, thank you all for coming this afternoon. Please remain seated until the graduates and staff have completed a short recessional.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me.
drives you crazy getting old. We can talk it so good, we can make it so divine. We can talk it good, how you wish